Reporting for WHIP News, I'm Taylor Allen, and with me today I have a very special guest, Black Lives Matter Pennsylvania President Asa Khalif. All right, I understand that last week you did a protest, more or less condemning District Attorney Seth Williams and asking for his resignation. But before we actually get into that, let's talk a little bit about you. First of all, how did you get involved with Black Lives Matter Pennsylvania, and how did you become president, essentially?
Well, I've been an activist since I was 13 years old. My first action was at 26 in Oxford, and it was against a restaurant, a so-called Chinese restaurant that was selling illegal cigarettes, Lucy's as they call it. They were even selling them back then. And we felt that, or I felt strongly about it as a young teenager, 13 years old, that this type of behavior should not exist in our communities. I know it didn't exist in other communities. It existed here with people of color. And so I challenged it and organized, and we had 50 people sign up. 75 people showed up.
Wow.
We were able to close down the store. We were able to actually have a green grocer at that store. It was a black green grocer. We called it Sold Some Vegetables. It was a green grocer to us in the hood. That just kind of, for me, showed the power of activism, the power of people coming together and connected. And then on and on and on. And how I got with Black Lives Matter, I was with another group making a lot of changes. We were a little more militant at that time. The group is still a little more militant. And we were really shutting things down, and things were really happening to Trayvon Martin. Once the Black Lives Matter hashtag actually became a movement, there were individuals who were in Ferguson who I knew were friends of mine who were organizing, and we just kind of got lumped into it at that point. It really took off. Black Lives Matter is not a conventional, traditional type of organization. There's no big person at the top, and then you have to go down to the channels. So I don't really use president. I'm not. I am just one leader within a movement of many leaders in Black Lives Matter, and that's the beauty about the movement, because anyone can make change. You don't have to go through a council or committee to get and to organize within your community. So it's not a conventional type of organization such as NAM or NAACP or those type of power structure organizations. I think with me, we needed a voice here in Philadelphia, and not someone that would just sit around, or groups of people that sit around and say, this is who I am, and I'm a part of this title, and I'm with this group, and therefore we're going to rely on the stuff that we've done in the past. We needed some action. We needed direct militant action to deal with the anti-blackness in this city. Brandon Tate Brown was murdered. We needed police officers to be held accountable for. I am the cousin of Brandon Tate Brown. There were individuals who were being attacked with stop and frisk. There were many things that we needed to address in this city, a city with a history of Rizzo type of abuse, a city where police law enforcement is enriched in anti-blackism, a city that dropped the bomb on men, women, and children in the MOVE bombing. So we needed a voice for Black Lives Matter, and there's a difference, and I wanted people to say, well, what's the difference between another Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter Pennsylvania? I want to address it, and usually anybody that's in the movement knows the difference.
Okay.
And surely everyone here in Philadelphia knows the difference between that group and Black Lives Matter Pennsylvania. We are constantly in the streets, and we have the receipts to prove it. So, but for those who want to know, Philly is the network, which is I believe 13 chapters. We are in the movement. That's where you get the Sean Kings, and you get D. Ray McKessons, and so on. They're all of us are a part of the movement, where we organize not only just local. We organize in the suburbs, Pennsylvania. We've organized. I personally organized in the movement, not only national but international. We had helped organize with Rome, and London. So the movement gives us more latitude, more to stretch out, to really deal with anti-blackness, not on a local, just a local, but a global scale. So that's the difference. One is a part of the network with the chapters. The other is a part of the movement.
Okay.
My passion is what leads me, my love for my community and my people. So I don't get caught up in, official, non-official. Anytime you're putting your body on the line, anytime you're getting arrested, anytime that you're putting your reputation on the line for to fight against anti-blackism, to fight for social justice, that makes you legit. You don't have to go and get certified and somebody to stamp you. When they put those handcuffs on you, that's enough certification that you need. So that's what's the difference. I mean, and I respect all of my brothers and sisters in this movement. Don't get me wrong. I respect them. I love them because I know that their heart is in the right place. But we can't afford to get caught up in this type of division. We have to move on things.
Can you explain the distaste specifically for District Attorney Seth Williams?
He has never been, unfortunately, a friend to black and brown people. And now the receipts are coming forward. There was a case, I never forget it, 4 years ago, Tamayo McDuffie, a young man, 17 years old at the time. Long story short, there were evidence to prove that this young man was innocent. They were accusing him of some sort of arson, and the story, I asked people to view the story and see for themselves. But the long story short, a neighbor made an allegation that this young man must have did it. There was no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing linking the young man. He has never been in trouble with the law, ever. Basketball, player at that point and in school, never in trouble with the law. This woman, it was revealed through investigators who worked on this case to clear his name, that the woman was mentally ill, and she had made allegations like this before. Not only with other neighbors, but also with her own family members, which kind of made them separate themselves from her. The point is, the district attorney had all this information. They knew that this woman, her history and her mental illness. They knew that Tamayo McDuffie physically could not have done it. They knew there was no DNA, nothing linking this young man to this. But yet and still, his mother, single mother, working a regular 9 to 5 with children, lost everything. She lost her house. She almost lost her job. She lost everything that was important to her to keep a roof over her head, fighting to get an attorney for this young man. And it was only because of the activism of myself, activist Greg Brinkley, Chris Flood, the drummer Norris, who writes for Techbook Online, and another grassroots activist. We were able to bring this into the limelight with reporters working with us to really show that this young man was innocent. And it was us constantly walking in the rain. I remember walking in the rain protesting with a bullhorn and his grandmother with a cane walking with me in the rain to the district attorney's office, demanding for him to drop this case. He knew about this, and he continued to pressure. Take the deal, take the deal. We said, don't take that deal. We are going to fight. You are innocent. And finally, they withdrew the charges. No apologies, nothing. And the young man was able to flourish after, getting himself together and getting the support that he needed. He's able to move on, and he's doing well. And the family has gotten their homes together. But this is just one example of a district attorney who promised a new day and a new DA, had promised that he would not act in the same fashion that Lynn Abraham had acted in terms of how she dealt with black and brown people in that office. You knew that a black young man who turned 18 years old in a cell, and you knew he was innocent, you wanted to send him away for years and years to corrupt and bring him, to make him another statistic. What type of person? That's when I knew that this son of a gun was extremely evil inside. Long before we heard about him taking money from his mother, scamming his mother, long before we heard about the bribes and stuff in the charges that are brought against him, there was something fundamentally evil when you can sit back and watch a family, a mother, lose her home and know that a young black man, young black boy who had never been in trouble with the law, you wanted to send him to prison. And you knew there were evidence that showed that this young boy could have never done it. That's how I said we're dealing with someone that's strictly evil. Not even getting to Brandon Tate, my cousin Brandon Tate Brown, and how that office handled that. But there are cases after cases. The Askia Boer case, this cases after cases of this man completely being anti-black.
To go back a little bit, the first person that you mentioned, the black boy, the 18, but the charges were dropped.
Yes.
What year was that around?
This was probably 2014.
2014?
Yes.
Okay, that's only 3 years ago.
13, 14. The Tamayo McDuffie case. Asked everyone to look it up. It was all over the news. It was all over the papers. They painted him as some psycho kid, and we were able to change that narrative and was able to humanize him and show that this kid is innocent and had absolutely nothing to do with it. And thank God for the reporters like Dana D. Filippio, who at the time was with the Philadelphia Daily News, and now she's with WHYY, who also worked tireless with this with us on the case, covering the case, keeping it alive. Of course, Flood Drummer from Textbook Online, keeping it alive, and all of the protesters getting arrested, standing out in the streets, blocking traffic. Every day, it was a hot summer, but every day letting people know, keeping this young man's name alive, and letting the district attorney know that we were not going away. And that's when I told other activists, I said, we're dealing with someone who is just completely evil.
Do you think he'll resign?
I don't think so. I think his pride has blinded him so much, won't let him. And I think the fact the pride mixed with the obligations financially that he's indebted to. He owes the fine that was the city, the feds ruled that he owes the massive fine for the money that he took for getting roofs and all the gifts and stuff. So he owes that fine, ethnic fine, and then the money to take care of his attorneys, his attorney fees. I think at this point, if he can sit back and still collect a check and thumb his nose up at the city, which he's done, he doesn't care at this point. He has nothing to lose.
He's under investigation right now, like FBI investigation. Do you think they are going to decide that he is guilty? Public opinion has already said that he is, but do you think the FBI will come down on him?
Oh, absolutely. They have enough evidence to bury him. His best bet is to make a deal, snitch on someone, and then keep it moving.
Well, Seth Williams has pled not guilty. Do you have any comment for that?
Well, he's right to plead, either not guilty or guilty. Pleading not guilty and the facts is two different things. They have the receipts to prove your guilt. Why prolong the case? Why cost taxpayers money? It's like worth like $11,000 plus, and that was just 2 weeks ago. That the taxpayers are paying this for him. He's costing the city extremely a lot of money. He needs to go to jail, start his jail time. The best bet is to take a deal and to leave and start the exorcism of that office.
General question that I'm sure the audience will have as well. You also believe that he will not resign before his term is up. Why protest?
Because we want the people be empowered. I think a lot of times the politicians become celebrities and the people lose hope and feel that they are powerless. And when you have something like what we did last week, shut that street down, it shows that that's grassroots organizing. That's revolutionary type of organizing. That's Black Panther type of organizing. That's MOVE type of organizing. The power belongs to the people. We had so many calls where people said, Asa, next time you do it, I want to come out there. We want to stand with you. We want to do it on a lunch break so we can take our lunch break and be out there. People are willing to put their face and their jobs on the line because they felt so strong. You only need one person to empower and start a movement. Rosa Parks showed us that. By not removing herself from that seat, it started a movement. And so it empowered people to say, if Rosa could do it, she was by herself, then maybe I can do this too. Maybe the politicians, this anger that I feel that the politicians are not listening to the people or taking advantage of the people, I want to inspire people to do back. I want us to get back to the fact that we have the power. It's in the people. It's with the people, not the politicians. And so, yes, today, he may not resign. Tomorrow, you get a mass full of mothers shutting that down whose sons have been railroaded by that district attorney's office. It can change a lot.
Do you plan on going back to that office any time in the near future?
Yeah, we're going to, everywhere he goes at this point, we're going to remind him of his fall from grace. I want Seth Williams to understand that you've done a disservice to black and brown people. We had a lot of hope in you. We wanted you to succeed. I wanted him to succeed. As a black man in this office for the first time, I wanted him to succeed. And you took that and you thumbed your nose up at it. And so we need to remind people that you exist, that you are, as long as you're there, every case now is under scrutiny, that office under scrutiny. And we need to remind him again that your arrogance is not going to let you sit on the throne.
Even among the black community, specifically in Philadelphia, he has never, well, in recent years, he hasn't been the most popular person.
No.
In your experience, at least, when do you think that began, when he lost the black community?
I think it began when he started to compromise himself in certain cases. It usually goes back to the case logs. If you really look at certain cases that he chose to prosecute, Thomasine Times, I believe, was in her 70s and she went to jail. He prosecuted her. Louise Williams Bishop, she was, I believe, in her 70s, 80s. A legend in gospel music, a legend in radio here in Philadelphia. He prosecuted her and she had to take a deal. So if what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It had already been out there whispering, but this, I think it really hit home at this point when you started picking on our elders.
And last question to wrap up this interview.
Sure.
What do you think is next for District Attorney Seth Williams?
Well, a cold cell would be my guess.
Well, thank you. And reporting for WHIP News, I'm Taylor Allen.